Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. That is what Damian Lillard has been all about during his 11 years with the Portland Trail Blazers. And how does the franchise return the favor to their star? By holding him hostage in a Ben Simmons type situation and not allowing him to go where he wants. Except there's one key thing that makes Dame different from Ben Simmons. Lillard did everything right and nothing wrong. He told the Trailblazers that he would demand a trade this offseason if they didn't make moves and get him star teammates to help him win at the highest level. And what did the Portland front office do? They kept their number 3 overall pick, choosing Scoot Henderson, and signed Jeremy Grant to a 5-year, $160 million extension. Yeah, not exactly a recipe for a championship. So, like he said he would, Dame demanded a trade, but now it's looking like Lillard made a big mistake that could ultimately lead to him landing on yet another rebuilding roster and be stuck in mediocrity for years to come. When finally demanding a trade, Lillard's list of preferred destinations was pretty short, and by pretty short I mean literally just the Miami Heat. Pat Riley and the Heat have been in rumors surrounding Dame for years now, seeing him as the superstar they need to finally get them to a finals win since LeBron left the team. So when Dame made his trade request, Miami seemed like the pretty obvious spot for him to go. The Heat could just throw together a package of Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and maybe some picks, and that would work, right? But there was a huge problem with this. The Blazers have absolutely no interest in trading Dame to the Heat, not just because they're an Eastern Conference rival, but because the package does not interest them whatsoever. And honestly, it's pretty much the definition of mid. Despite Lillard's trade requests, the Blazers have made it very clear that they will not trade him unless they get a massive haul in return. At first, it seemed like Dame was confident that he'd be able to get what he wants and go to Miami. So he doubled down on his trade request, saying that he wouldn't show up to training camp for any team except the Miami Heat, which instantly tanked his value around the league for any team that was maybe considering throwing in an offer. But as the offseason continues to drag on, it's pretty clear that the Blazers won't budge, and they have all the leverage in this situation moving forward. Dame is under contract for several more seasons, and with the NBA player empowerment era going on, teams are starting to get defensive and not give in to their stars' wishes. I mean, with players like Ben Simmons and James Harden asking out of their teams and sitting until they get traded or wearing fat suits, it makes sense why teams are starting to get defensive and not trade their stars wherever they want. So now, with training camp just 2 months away, Lillard is facing his harsh reality. The Blazers aren't budging on trading him where he wants to go, and the GM has made it very clear that he wants nothing short of a massive haul in return to get Lillard out. At this point, the odds of any team coming in and making a massive offer for Lillard is just unlikely. I mean, Dame made it clear that he only wanted to go to one team, so I don't think anyone's taking a chance on the guy who said he's not even suiting up for anyone else. So what does this mean for Lillard? Well, I think we could be looking at a situation where he finds himself sitting out at least half of the following NBA season, and potentially even longer. We've seen this happen time and time again in recent years, and if superstars don't get what they want, they'll simply sit until they do. And the same thing will probably follow for Dame. With it being very likely that Dame won't play another game with the Blazers, the franchise really has 2 options for handling this situation, one of which is a lot better for them and one of which hurts them a bit. Option 1 is they cave to Lillard's trade demand, get a mediocre package back, and immediately kickstart their rebuild with Scoot Henderson and whatever assets they get in return from the trade. And obviously, this is the worst situation for the Blazers because they don't get maximum value for Dame. Option 2, which we've seen other franchises partake in recent years, is they hold out for a massive, perfect trade offer even if it means Lillard sits out games. And if he does sit, maybe that pressures him to expand his list of teams and accept a trade elsewhere. When you think about it, besides Lillard's loyalty, the Blazers have really no incentive to make a bad trade just to get him where he wants to go. And even though he has one of the best reputations in the league and maybe even in NBA history, sitting out games will make him look pretty bad. But on Dame's side of things, the next few months leading up to the regular season are going to be crucial for his career. He has to decide right now how far he's actually willing to take this. Will he actually go through with sitting out games knowing that the Blazers will pay him $40 million a year? And on top of that, insert his name in the conversation with guys like Simmons and Harden who don't have the best reputation around the league right now? We know that Dame wants to win a championship in his prime, and at age 32, the clock is only ticking faster and faster for Dame. So can he really afford to waste half a season just sitting to get where he wants? This is an incredibly difficult position for any star to be in, but especially for Dame, and as the summer goes on, his problems are probably only gonna get worse. But what if I told you that there's a third option, one where the Blazers, Dame, and wherever he gets traded to wins? It's honestly pretty simple, and I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about it, but it's probably what's gonna happen. That being, getting a third team involved in the Dame trade so everyone gets what they want. According to ESPN's Mark Spears, while Portland isn't happy with the potential packages from the Heat, there are over 5 teams interested in a potential multi-team trade that could get Dame to the Heat done. The Heat are very aware that the Portland Trailblazers are not interested in guard Tyler Hero due to their already young backcourt of Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons. All 5 of these teams have some interest in Hero, and they could send a more enticing package to the Blazers than Miami can offer straight up. But the 2 teams out of these 5 that have emerged as frontrunners are the Brooklyn Nets and the San Antonio Spurs. The Blazers have made it very clear that they want at least 2 solid young players and a ton of draft picks in a trade for Dame. And honestly, in this case, there's only one trade package that makes sense for all 3 teams involved. Buckle up, because in this trade, the Heat get Damian Lillard and cap filler, the Brooklyn Nets get Tyler Hero, Nasir Little, and a 2029 second round pick, and the Blazers get Ben Simmons, Duncan Robinson, Nikola Jovic, and control of 6 first round picks. Portland made it very clear that they do not want Tyler Hero in any instance, but do they believe in a Ben Simmons bounce back? We honestly haven't seen much of Simmons since his massive blow up in Philly, but joining a rebuilding team might be exactly what Simmons needs to revive his career and return to all-star form. Let's be honest though, Portland really takes this trade because of those draft picks. Getting Brooklyn involved allows the Blazers to have control of 6 first round picks, 4 from Miami, 1 from Dallas, and 1 from Phoenix, who at the moment are 2 very questionable franchises. Duncan Robinson is mostly just to make the money work, but they also get Nikola Jovic, a solid young forward on the timeline of Scoot Henderson and Anthony Simons. This also allows the Nets to get off of Ben Simmons and pick up Tyler Hero, who is a very interesting prospect next to Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, who are likely the team's core moving forward. At this point, let's be honest, there's not a perfect win-win-win trade in a 3-team deal for Dame, but I think this one is as close as it gets. However, there's one big problem about all of this. Yeah, this trade looks good on paper, but it could take weeks or even months for that matter to get done. And Dame, who had the best statistical season of his career last year, could see himself sitting out for the Blazers while they work on a trade until the deadline in February. And the team has already brought up the fact that they are in no rush to get this deal done. And the recent interview with the Blazers GM shows just how serious about this he is.
The teams that have in the most positive situation post-trade have been the ones that have been really diligent and taken their time and not been impulsive. You know how this lands, and if it takes months, it takes months.
It's clear that the Blazers don't care where Damian Lillard goes, but his recent comments about not showing up to training camp for any other teams likely makes other franchises very hesitant to make a move for him, which ultimately makes his problems a whole lot worse because he could see himself sitting out an entire half season next year just to wait for this trade. Dame might not be the only mid-season trade though, because the Warriors have perfectly positioned themselves to make a monster trade this season and make a championship run with their veteran core. Click here if you want to see the trade package and why this team is in a perfect position to make a championship run next year.